You're listening to the Urban Jazz Experience on Metro FM, and we have a very exclusive and very special conversation with Abdullah Ibrahim, who's going to be performing on the 15th and 16th of June at Empress Palace together with and of course Huba Sikela on the project called Jazz Epistles. Actually, let's talk about the Jazz Epistles and what memory that brings for you. The fact that you're going to relive it, so to speak, on stage.
Well, if you look at my homepage, right, abdullahibrahim.co.za, one of my musicians, Lance Bryant, is a tenor player and also arranger, and he has rewritten the charts of Jazz Epistle. He will be with us in Johannesburg.
Fantastic.
So if you read what he says about Jazz Epistle, he says that in the 60s was a time when jazz musicians accessed and began to quantify the African experience. So these are jazz musicians, and jazz musicians even created non-traditional forms and concepts. This happened in the 60s in the United States. But he says that Jazz Epistle in South Africa in 1959, we were way ahead of this already.
Wow.
Precisely. But we understood this, you see, and it was quite incredible when I met Ornette Coleman and Don Cherry, and Ellington and these musicians. The first thing they said to me, "We've been listening to Jazz Epistle."
Wow!
Yes, sir. So we inspired our nation. We inspired Africa, and we inspired musicians, jazz musicians in the United States. Because we were creating this, and it was a principle that we have to get away from this tonality centers, not just in music, but in our social, economic, political understanding.
Sure. Wow.
Because we were always bound to tonalities, whether they be your movement or whatever it was, whether they call it apartheid or stuff like that.
So obviously, you were creating that while you were in South Africa before you went away on exile.
Precisely. You see, we like with Kippie Moeketsi, for example. Did you know that Kippie Moeketsi was a proficient classical clarinet player? He used to play Mozart's clarinet concerto. See? So what are we doing with the Jazz Epistle Project in Johannesburg? This concert, we're presenting a tribute to Kippie Moeketsi with some of my musicians playing, making to Kippie. A dedication to Kippie.
That is awesome. That is absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be an incredible tribute to him and his music, and his talent.
Yeah, the problem was that he was never able to do that. You see, in terms of the level. But this is a scenario with most jazz musicians. If you look at Fats Waller was a classical organist. But Powell was a child prodigy, classical musician. Billy Strayhorn with Duke Ellington wrote the song "Lush Life" when he was 16 years of age.
Sure,
but he was classically trained. You see, for myself in Cape Town and Johannesburg, I studied everything. European classical music, Indian music, traditional music. I lived everywhere in South Africa to absorb our local culture.
And in your travels, which cultures have had an impact in your life and the music?
All cultures.
And even just your outlook to life.
Yeah, well, if you look at, for example, now we do work with the last remaining Bushman people in the Northern
the Karoo.
Cape. In the Northern Cape. We have a project on the Green Kalahari project.
The Kalahari,
right?
Okay, yes.
And my teacher in Japan, my Budo teacher, we have unbelievable resonance with the Japanese traditional culture and our culture, our traditional culture, and Native American culture, because hunter-gatherers everywhere in the world have the same dimension or dynamic. So my understanding is ancient tradition, new relevance.
Ancient tradition, new relevance.
New relevance.
And
because we have to make it relevant, especially for young people. What shall you do with the tradition?
It has to be relevant.
Precisely.
And to the present.
And to the present. Okay? So this is our project. I've been working on this academy for decades, and it seems now that we have some support to create this. Because with young people, we'll say, what is, if you have to take a product to the market, you must take something unique.
Absolutely.
You see? And the uniqueness is your story. You see?
And everybody...
But precisely now we have this wonderful technology that we can utilize. Okay.
Let's talk about, how everybody has their own story. Do you believe every musician has got their own voice?
Not even every musician. Everything has its own voice.
Everything?
Everything. Say the wind has its own voice, the trees have their own voice, the stones have their own voice. Human beings have their own voice, animals have their own voice.
So why do we...
I'm speaking to you now, right?
Yeah.
So there are, and you're speaking to me. There are millions and millions of people in the world, but I can hear and recognize your voice anywhere, and you can do the same with me.
We're all distinct.
So it means that we all have our individual voice.
In case you're wondering what this interesting conversation is about, I'm talking to Abdullah Ibrahim. And he's going to be back home in South Africa performing on the 16th and 15th of June with Brahyua Masekela as part of the Jazz Pistols performance at Emperor's Palace. And if you're just joining us now, well, you've missed out on quite a bit, but hoping you can catch on.